Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Fantasy Football. My name is Scott Morganroth, along with my co-host Ryan Skolrud. Glad to have you back, Ryan.
It's good to be back.
Love having you on the broadcast. Looking forward to some good stuff this week. So, with that said, we had a pretty interesting trade that took place today. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, well, there was talk last year about Gronk coming back mid-season, and I was one of those that was definitely on the it's not going to happen, it's just rumors. And then we get the announcement today that Gronk has talked to the Patriots and says that he wants to unretire, but he doesn't want to play with the Patriots. He wants to play with Tom Brady down in Tampa Bay.
Right.
And within an hour, we didn't get the notification. I get the notification on my phone an hour after that notification saying, well, it's official. The Patriots and the Buccaneers have made a trade that Gronk and a 7th-round pick are going to the Buccaneers for a 4th-round pick.
Right.
So, we definitely there are multiple facets to this. One person said, so when is Julian Edelman going to say he's going to retire unless they trade him to Tampa Bay?
Right.
You've got two now really good, and in my opinion, 3 really good tight ends now in Tampa Bay, because you have Gronk, you have O.J. Howard, and then you have, now I can't even remember the guy's name. It'll come to me later. You've got 3 tight ends there that could play really, really solid offense, all really good pass catchers. Here, as far as fantasy goes for me, I'm still in fantasy not a big fan of Gronkowski, simply because he's at the end of his career.
Right.
He's unretired and come back. I don't think he's, to me, more of a streamer, or if you're going to play, daily fantasy, he'd be a guy that, depending on the matchup, would be a good guy to go with. He's not a guy that I'm going to regularly want to trust for production. Just because I don't know how healthy he's going to stay. As far as O.J. Howard's fantasy value goes, I think that, Candy, like we were talking in the beginning, the Packers are in need of a tight end. And so I think that O.J. Howard could very easily get dealt. He did not fit at all last year with the system that the Bucs have in place. Again, going back, it'll be interesting to see how Gronk fits into it.
Ryan, the third person you were looking for, his name is Cameron Brate.
Cameron Brate, that's what it was. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cameron Brate is a solid tight end, very good pass catcher. I mean, over the last couple of years, he was getting phased out for O.J. Howard when Brate was still the more productive of the two. And so you've got that's all going on. I think that the Buccaneers are likely to get more out of O.J. Howard in the trade than they would in Cameron Brate. And even if it's Cameron Brate and Gronk, that is a solid tight end matchup, solid tight end lineup to put into to have for Brady to throw to. And then we get to the wide receivers in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And a lot of people are talking about how this is great for Evans and Godwin. And really for me, I'm in the group that kind of downgrades Mike Evans in this, because Tom Brady is not the deep ball thrower that he used to be.
Right.
So in terms of fantasy production, I think that Evans takes a little bit of a drop. He's also not the most prolific of route runners. He's a very lazy route runner. He rounds off his breaks. He cuts routes short. He's not crisp. If you think about where he came from in college, he was catching passes from Johnny Manziel where it was just go, and Johnny will find you and throw it to you. And so I think that's it's going to put a little bit of a damper on Mike Evans. I think Gronk is going to, I believe, cut down a little bit in the Chris Godwin still think that Godwin retains more of his fantasy value than Mike Evans does. Because Godwin is very good in the slot. He'll run that Julian Edelman, the short ins, short outs, and has the ability to get yards after the catch. So overall, O.J. Howard, unless he's moved somewhere, his fantasy, what little fantasy stock he had left, I think tanks unless he gets moved somewhere else. Mike Evans drops a little bit. I think Chris Godwin still drops a little, but I think he retains more of his value than Mike Evans does. And Tom Brady, I think he's still, with the weapons that he has, they're going to be much better than they were last year. And so I still think that he's a top 10 quarterback, but he's not one I'm going to actively pursue. If he falls to me in a fantasy draft, I'd be willing to pick him up. But again, we also need to see after this draft what they do at running back, because I still don't think that Ronald Jones is the answer, and what they do to that offensive line to help protect Tom Brady.
But don't you think Gronk does a little of that protection for them though as well? And
he does on the outside, but not up the middle.
I agree.
So that will help a little bit with the blocking, which was definitely something that I think was getting to be a little bit of a knock on O.J. Howard, was his lack of blocking.
Right.
But I think that'll help. I still want to see what they do in terms of strengthening the middle of that line, especially in the draft.
I'd agree with that, Ryan.
Well, all right, Ryan, let me ask you a question. And, one thing I always wonder about Rob Gronkowski, yes, is the durability factor. So how can a guy like him be trusted, much less the fact that he took a year off anyways?
Yeah, I mean, taking the year off, I think he was done with the New England culture because,
right.
There's been a lot of players that said that, after they left New England, they won, they won or went to multiple Super Bowls. They didn't have fun playing the game. They had more fun when they went from going to the, from the New England Patriots to, the 49ers, who still weren't all that great. And so I think that being the party animal, really, that Gronk is, and that Florida, Tampa Bay, Miami kind of lifestyle, that's kind of, he's kind of flashy. I think that he's going to fit in great down there. But yeah, like you were saying, the durability. I think that he will most likely make it 10 games. I put the over/under at 9.5. Or how many games he plays this year.
How many?
Because of injury.
Yeah, all right. Say that again. I want to hear that.
9.5.
I would put, because of just the injuries that he has had over the last couple of years and how much time he has missed, I would put the over/under at him playing at about 9.5 to 10 games.
Really?
I say he's going to play more, and the reason being is because he took that year off to heal his body, and he's been able to, work out. He claims he's been working out. I think he'll play more, but that's just my opinion.
One thing I noticed, he's definitely a lot skinnier than he was when he was playing in New England. So we'll see what that does to his body durability, especially when it comes to taking hits.
Agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think what helps him though a little bit is the fact that the Buccaneers have some excellent receivers, and I have a feeling that Tampa Bay is not done making moves. Especially at the running back position, even though I know they're not interested in Leonard Fournette. I know one of the points that we're probably leading up to is many more improvements do you think that they can go ahead and make offensively?
Well, obviously, I still think that they can make improvements in the running back position. Obviously, in terms of anything from now on, I think it has to be done in the draft.
Right. Okay.
I don't exactly have in front of me how many draft picks they've got coming up in this draft. That being said, I think that they may still have enough draft capital to make a couple of moves. But really, I think overall, I think that the rest of their improvements are probably going to have to come from the draft.
I think so too. So with that said, okay, how deep is the running back class in terms of what Tampa is, and then we'll talk about the other teams that you mentioned earlier. Who do you think would be the best fit for the Buccaneers, Ryan?
I mean, from what I have seen, in terms of the Buccaneers and what could fit for them, Ronald Jones, I can't decide if he's more of a pass pitching back or like a running back. In one of the recent articles on our website from Robert Gonzalez, he's one of our running back fantasy analysts. His thoughts were, someone like a Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I believe he was out of LSU. He's much more. He's kind of that pass catching James White style of player.
Right.
That I think would work really well, and that Robert contends would be a good addition to that offense because of the way that Tom Brady works in the passing game and how often he uses that style of player, similar to what Austin Eckler was or is with the Chargers.
Ryan, just so you know, Tampa Bay actually has 7 total selections in this year's draft.
Okay, so I mean, they've got the typical amount, right around that, one per round. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about some of the other teams that could draft a running back.
All right, so here, let me pull up my list. So obviously we have, we talked about Tampa Bay. Buffalo is definitely one to keep your eyes on. With Frank Gore, I believe he's still a free agent at this point. And so really the only solid contributor that the Bills have in terms of the running back position is Devin Singletary. And while Devin Singletary was great last year, I hesitate to call him a every down back. I think it's possible that he could be that. I think he would need to put on a little bit more in the weight and muscle category, just a little bit more. Not that he'd have to really bulk up. I think that would help him out. His pass catching ability is really what was just absolutely electric this last year. So I could see the Buffalo Bills adding someone that's more of a downhill runner to kind of complement Devin Singletary, and using them as a somewhat even split. If they don't, maybe they just decide to add a running back later on down the road, later in the draft, and really try to keep Singletary as their main guy. I could see that happening, but I think it would benefit them a whole lot if they, got a more of a downhill runner, like a Jonathan Taylor or someone like that, depending on where they're picking and where he's available, to see if that could be a good pairing for them.
All right, so tell me about Jonathan Taylor. Where do you think he's going to probably go?
Well, Jonathan Taylor, just with his abilities, he can go to a few different places. I mean, we've got a lot of teams on this list that are going to need some help in the running back position, especially with downhill runners. He could go to a lot of different places. I think the Chargers need more of a downhill runner. They have Austin Eckler. They have Justin Jackson, but Justin Jackson has seemed to be more of just a guy than anything else. Eckler obviously is the electricity in that offense in terms of the running back position. So if the Chargers were to get someone like that to go with Eckler, I think it would be great. Taylor could also go somewhere like Kansas City. They, if they had like a bulldog type of runner like that,
right,
where it forced teams to move up in the box. I think about what Patrick Mahomes could do that when he actually has a real running game.
Right. Oh God, I can imagine what Taylor would like with the Chiefs. Scary thought. As if they're not loaded already. Give Mahomes another running back like that. Oh my goodness.
I know, right?
Oh, I'm telling you, that's a as they say in the old song. We've got a ticket to rise. Nobody's being talking about my singing, but boy, the Chiefs would have one if they're riding Jonathan Taylor. So, hey, you know what? They say that he's probably at least a second round pick, unless somebody takes a gamble on him late in the first. Do you think he's more of a possible late first or second, or what does he go make it to the third?
I think he'll go really to big second, and the reason I think that is because there's a lot of top end wide receiver talent in this draft. I think it'll somewhat spread out a little bit, but there are a lot of teams that are wanting, that bigger wide receiver. There's a lot of them in this draft that I think that teams are gonna want to grab them in a hurry so that they don't miss out.
Okay, interesting. All right, so talk about some other running backs that you think could make that could be having their name called in day one or possibly two.
Well, we already talked about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We talked about Jonathan Taylor.
Right.
See, let me pull up my list again. I'm trying to think. It's been a little bit since I've gone over who all's in the our specific running backs for this season. Let me pull up the draft. No, I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it. That's okay.
Yeah, so I think that there's probably 2 or 3 that'll go in the first couple rounds.
Right.
But I think for the most part, there aren't the Ezekiel Elliott or Saquon Barkley types in this draft. So I can see there only being 1, maybe 2 running backs, maybe towards the second to late or mid to late half of the first round, and more likely getting 1 or 2 more in the second round. So.
Okay, fair enough.
What about J.K. Dobbins?
He's the kid out of Ohio State, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Dobbins he's one of those that I've seen is one of those top 3 guys with Jonathan Taylor and with Edwards-Helaire. I think that Dobbins is a solid running back. He's another one of those downhill runners like Jonathan Taylor. Does have some breakaway speed and really solid footwork. I think that he could be. I think any of those 3. I think really probably him or Jonathan Taylor will be the first running back off the board, and Helaire will probably be either second or third.
What about DeAndre Swift from Georgia?
Yeah, he's another one. Quick has a lot of good intangibles about him. See, I'm trying to go back through my scouting reports in my head. He has some ability to catch the ball out of the backfield as well. So, there's a lot of running backs. There's a lot of solid running backs in this draft, but nothing that, for the most part, there aren't those 1 or 2 guys that stand out that, like I said, the Saquon Barkley-esque or the Ezekiel Elliott's. There's solid running backs in this draft, but aren't necessarily going to stand out, and so for that reason, they're more going to be towards that second half of the first round, likely in the second round type of guys.
Okay. There's Cam Akers from Florida State too.
Akers, Akers has some good size to him. 5'11", 215 pounds. He's one of the bigger running backs in this draft. The top 5 guys. He had really decent stats this last year. Rushing for over almost 1,200 yards. Does have the ability to catch the ball. Had about 70 pass receptions in his career. Had 30 just this last year. So he's a good all-around solid running back that can be used in a lot of different situations. Again, I think he's going to be more in that second or third round though.
All right, so let's talk about Leonard Fournette. You obviously know the Jacksonville Jaguars have him on the trading block. He's on the hook, I believe, for $4.17 million base, and then they has a $8.64 million cap hit. Do you think he's tradable, knowing that he has a fifth-year team option in 2021? Because I know the running back market is starting to dwindle, and it's a position that's being devalued.
Yes, I think that he still has. There's still enough teams that need running back help that would be willing to look at what he has done so far in his career and think that he is worthy of going after. I don't necessarily see it happening, but I could see a team like the Seahawks, who, yes, they have Chris Carson and Rashad Penny. At the same time, both those guys had season-ending injuries last year, so it's kind of hard to determine where exactly he could go. He's another one of those, like I was saying, about Jonathan Taylor possibly going to the Chiefs. There's a lot of people suggesting that if Fournette went to the Chiefs, that would again be that big power runner that would force teams to come up in the box and allow Mahomes to just go crazy.
Can you imagine Fournette with the Chiefs? That's one thing I saw him play against the Chiefs. Not like the Chiefs wouldn't say they didn't have any good game film on the guy, knowing he jammed it right up their backside anyways.
Yeah.
And we saw that at the opener, right, last year, Candy, with Fournette and Chiefs.
Yep.
That's scary, too. It's almost as scary as Jonathan Taylor joining the Chiefs, but only a younger version of Fournette. These guys are good backs. And what makes Fournette even more valuable, Ryan, is the fact that he's a multi-purpose back, and he's a dual threat.
Yeah, he wasn't ever really known as being a pass catcher, but he really showed over the last couple seasons the ability to use that talent in the games. So definitely he's over the last couple of years he has improved his draft or his trade stock, I would say, by showing off those skills.
No doubt about that. So with that said, where do you think Fournette could land in a potential trade?
I mean, again, looking at some of the teams that are needing some running back help. I'm looking through my list. The Buffalo Bills again needing that type of downhill runner. That could definitely be a spot. I don't know if that's a direction that they would want to go. But that could be a team that could use someone like him. One situation to keep an eye on is definitely in Cincinnati, where Joe Mixon is threatening to hold out.
Really?
Their only other running back really of note is Giovanni Bernard.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, they've got some guys that they drafted over the last couple of years that have been dealing with injury. But I mean, Bernard is the only one who's actually had really any major NFL experience. And so I could see them maybe thinking about making a move if they don't think that they can get anywhere in talks with Mixon.
How about the Lions?
Well, yeah, the Lions could use a whole lot of help in the running back game, and I don't mean that as a knock on Kerryon Johnson. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah, you don't have to knock him. The bottom line is he hasn't proven that he can stay healthy over the last couple of years. That's why they need a running back.
And that's been an issue with Lions running backs for years now.
Oh, yeah.
Ever since Barry left.
None of them can stay healthy.
Well, let me give you some interesting examples. I remember when the Lions traded up to get Kevin Smith. He ran for a boatload of yards at Central Florida, and I thought for sure he was a steal when they traded up. As if things weren't bad enough, why don't we talk about Artos Pinner? I don't know if you remember him, out of the University of Kentucky. He was drafted in the 4th round, came with injury issues, and unfortunately, I thought that was yet a good pick. but that didn't work out either. But again, it's a fourth round pick, so you're not going to really sweat bricks about it. You know what I mean? And what about Javid Best, Amir Abdullah?
Yeah, I was on the Amir Abdullah hype train when he came into the league, and
Me too.
that just didn't quite work out the way that everyone hoped it would.
Reggie Bush. I mean, they brought in some pretty good players by name. The question is they have not been able to develop anything consistent. I won't fault the Detroit Lions whatsoever for trying to make attempts. They've really tried. But sometimes if there's any luck that they've ever had, it's considered bad luck.
Yeah, well, I even thought that, if the guy could have stayed healthy, Zach Zenner could have been an okay running back.
Oh, yeah.
He was another guy that couldn't stay healthy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so what do you blame it on? Do you blame it on the offensive line, or do you blame it on the running back? I don't know where the blame falls in that situation for their inability to have halfway decent runners, and because that seems like when they leave, they have decent careers elsewhere. Although a lot of the names that we're talking about, I don't think they went on to have good careers after the fact, but many of them do leave and they are productive.
Yeah, we used to always joke up here in Seattle that anyone who left the Seattle Seahawks or Seattle Mariners or Seattle Supersonics went on to have a Hall of Fame career.
Right.
I really think, honestly, in that case, it's just been a series of a lot of bad luck.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of the running backs, they haven't been able to find a guy who can stay healthy, even when they've taken guys that haven't had injury issues. It hasn't worked out for him.
Yeah, and that's a shame, too. I mean, Matthew Stafford is an exceptional talent, and to not be able to surround him with an adequate running attack, to me, is just completely unfortunate. I tell you what, those people that are hated toward Matt Stafford need to have their head examined. He's the best quarterback they've had since Bobby Lane. I love his sidearm throws, his different throwing angles, and when you have that kind of thing with Matt Stafford, you can only imagine if you gave him a running game how much better. But the reality is, I know we talk about the Detroit Lions a little bit more, but so there's been a lot of talk about them possibly trading down from the number 3 pick. What are your thoughts about them trading down?
Well, I think, for me, I don't mind trading down. I mean, you're talking to a guy whose favorite team is the Seattle Seahawks that have traded down from their first pick in the draft every year since 2012. So, I don't mind it. You look at what John Schneider did last year with the Seahawks, trading down. I mean, he had 2 picks in the first round because of a trade. Ends up trading down and having, I want to say, only having like 4 or 5 picks in the draft overall.
Right.
And I think he got one of those first round picks in the Frank Clark deal, going to the Chiefs.
Right.
And with that, ended up with 12 picks in the draft.
Right.
And so was able to collect a lot of talent. The Seahawks have a lot of young talent that they think that they can really build around. And so I don't mind trading that, especially when you've got the 3rd pick. Depending on exactly what you're wanting and who you have on your specific draft board, I could see it making sense, especially if you get the right package for it.
I agree. Totally agree. What about you?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, they keep saying how deep this talent pool is in this draft. The more picks you have, the better shot you have. Because let's face it, not every draft pick you're gonna hit it out of the park with. Some draft picks just flop. So yeah, the more picks you have, the more chances you have of building that team.
Well, I think the one thing about the Lions is Jeff Okudah, to me, would be an ideal fit for him since Darius Slay got traded away. Now it seems like you have a trend of former Lions taking shots at the regime of Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia. We both know, Ryan and Candy, that it's either win or else for Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia since they took over a team that was winning and had a much stable culture. Why they got rid of Jim Caldwell, to me, is a mystery that I don't think even America's Most Wanted could ever go ahead and solve.
Well, I think what happened was fascinated with the Patriots and the Bill Belichick coaching tree. And if you look at the success of various coaching trees in the NFL, Bill Belichick's coaching tree is one of the most unsuccessful coaching trees in terms of shifting to being head coaches of any of them.
You know, we could have a show on this, but we're going to talk about it tonight because you really are on to something here, man. Josh McDaniels he didn't have a long time up in Denver, but that didn't quite work out. We know Romeo Crennel didn't work out with Cleveland. Then again, nobody ever does, so I guess I'd have to give him a mulligan there. Charlie Weiss, to me, has the best accountant and agent I've ever seen because he's gone out there and fleeced a lot of teams, right? Whether it's in college and the pros. Help me out with a few more. Matt Patricia's been a joke.
Matt Patricia.
Right. Now, Brian Flores may end up working out better than any of them. And I think I was okay with Bill O'Brien until just recently. I'm not quite sure what O'Brien's doing. You know, so I think this will be a very interesting year. Thus far, he's been successful. But now that he's a general manager and the coach, and his decisions are being more magnified, the great trading for David Johnson, who has a lot of mileage on him. What are your thoughts about that move, Ryan? David Johnson to the Texans.
I think that as long as Johnson gets healthy, he's still going to be productive and still be decent. I mean, I don't think that the trade equity is fair.
I don't either.
It's definitely not in the favor of the Texans. However, I think it still could be an okay pick. But as far as coaches being the general managers, it almost never works out.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll go back.
I can look at Mike Holmgren in Seattle.
Right.
He really took off when he let go of the reins of the general manager position, because that was one of his things when he came to the Seahawks in, what was it, 1999 or 98. He wanted to be the general manager as well.
Right.
And it just didn't work out. It wasn't until about 2002, 2003 where they kind of pulled him out of that and just had him being the head coach that they really started to find the right talent, for him to work with, and they ended up making it to the Super Bowl after the 2005 season.
Well, I'll date back to one when you weren't even born. I wonder if your parents were born for this one. Was when Monty Clark, the former head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, came to Detroit. And boy, that was, Monty got the Lions into the playoffs a couple times, but his overall record as both, to me, was not very good. It was awful. So I don't think that both a guy can do both jobs. I'm not totally convinced of that. So what else you got?
All right, looking at just a couple more teams that may try to improve their running back rooms. Let me pull up the list I've got here.
Sure.
We mentioned the Buffalo Bills. We talked about the Cincinnati Bengals just a little bit. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Chargers, again, Austin Eckler's best games always came when Melvin Gordon was also there, because of his ability to be a change of pace back. Now, Melvin Gordon was also great catching the ball out of the backfield, but he did have some injury issues, which provided more opportunity for Austin Eckler. But again, Eckler's biggest games always seemed to be when it was him giving Gordon a breather. Just being the change of pace back and catching the ball out of the backfield. He was able to run the ball somewhat successfully this last year. I think that it helped having some improvements and on the offensive line. The offensive line staying a little more healthy this year than it has in past years. Mm-hmm. But it still wasn't great. They still had a lot of injuries on the O-line. But I think that the Chargers could definitely look to add a bigger running back. We mentioned the Kansas City Chiefs. The Miami Dolphins, This is definitely an interesting one. I think that they signed Jordan Howard, but they don't necessarily have someone to really complement Jordan Howard. With Kenyon Drake getting to Arizona, Kalen Ballage obviously is not an NFL running back. We figured that out quite quickly this past season. So I could see them adding some sort of like Tariq Cohen type of person, that catches the ball out of the backfield. Jordan Howard's never been known as a pass catcher,
right?
Especially in his years in Chicago. However, this last season in Philadelphia, it did work out a little bit better for him. Was used in the passing game a little bit more, but again, he's been known to have cement hands. So I could see them, getting some sort of complimentary back to go with him. We mentioned the Detroit Lions. It'll be interesting to see what the New York Jets do at running back.
Right.
It's kind of hard to, Le'Veon Bell wasn't that great last year. Now, again, they had massive amounts of injuries. They had Sam Darnold dealing with mono last year.
Yeah.
They had, two different backup quarterbacks go on injured reserve.
Right.
So, there was just a whole bunch. And, to make matters worse, they have Adam Gase as their head coach. So, there's a lot of stuff to deal with the Jets. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I don't necessarily think that they'll go with the running back, but that's definitely a team that could look to add some youth due to the amount of miles on Le'Veon Bell's legs.
Right.
We mentioned the Detroit Lions, and the last team I really think to mention would be the LA Rams.
Oh God, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, now they had Gurley for years, and they made the trade. Oh, I'm sorry, they released him.
Right, that's okay.
And he went to Atlanta. You've got Darrell Henderson, who was really good at Kentucky. It's very interesting to see he and Tony Pollard were the two running backs both their senior year at Kentucky. And I think it would have been a lot of fun to watch that backfield. Because the two of them basically were the offense. And just seeing the talent that they have. I'm not so sure that the Rams are completely sold on Henderson.
Right.
They do still have John Kelly and Malcolm Brown. It's going to be an interesting thing to watch in this draft to see if and when they take a running back.
So with that said, okay, you brought up Todd Gurley. Let's talk about his new home, a state that he's all too familiar with. He was a running back at the University of Georgia. Now he's right up the road over in Athens, okay? From Athens to Atlanta. The AABP MCL used to be a transmission, but we'll see whether his new change of scenery is a transmission that will ignite the Atlanta Falcons. What does Todd Gurley have left in the tank, Ryan Skolrud?
I think he's got a little bit left in the tank. If I'm going to draft a team in fantasy,
yeah,
and I take someone like Gurley, it's going to be in like the third or fourth round, and I'm going to make sure to draft Ito Smith later in the draft so that I've got a backup for him.
Yeah. So would you say that this running back class in 2020 is pretty deep, or if you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best, how would you grade it?
I give it about a 7 or an 8 because it doesn't have that massive standout running back that's kind of a generational talent.
Right.
Those don't happen very often, but I think the overall depth of this class is very good. So for that reason, I'd probably give it an 8. There's some solid, top of the position type guys, and then there's a bunch of really good role players that if they're in the right team and in the right system, I think will be very productive.
So I guess Candy would probably want to know what direction the Green Bay Packers are headed.
In terms of what, with who they're going to pick?
Sure. I have my opinion. Let's see what you think.
Sorry, say it one more time.
I said I have my opinion. Let's see what you think.
Looking at the Green Bay Packers, I think that they still could use a little bit of help on defense. I'm trying to look there, trying to see their pass rush numbers right now. I think that really the cornerback position is probably going to be the biggest area of need on defense, with the possibility of linebacker. I'm pretty sure they run a 3-4, so having another outside linebacker that could get a little bit of a pass rush, but also be able to back off and play some coverage would be good for them. I think that they need another real solid wide receiver to pair with Devontae Adams. I don't think Devin Funchess is that guy. Alan Lazard, I think, is a great number 3 option. I don't think he's a number 2. And so I think that Funchess, could fill an okay role, but I would prefer that they actually get, if they were to get one of these higher end wide receivers that's available in this draft, I think that would be really good for them.
All right. Well, anything else you want to add?
I think that's about it. I'm looking forward to getting to this draft this next week.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. On Thursday, one of the things we're going to prepare everybody for is Ryan Schoolroot and I are going to break down some quarterbacks, and I'll tell you that should be a pretty interesting situation. So we'll make a determination if there is a third co-host or just me and you. I'm still weighing some different options, and those are things that I'll keep you informed. But either way, for all those listening here on Fantasy Football with Scott Morgenroth and Ryan Schoolroot, Motor City Madmouth will either Ryan will be joining us on the Sports Exchange on Thursday night, so I'll look forward to having a good show with you, Ryan. And once again, we appreciate the great work and loyalty that you've been here, and we look forward to having a lot more fun with you. All right, Ryan? So, Ryan, before we let you go, give everybody the opportunity to find out what you do, where they can find you, and also let's talk about the progress and the new person that was providing with some of the information.
So, yeah, I am the head of Skull King Sports. We used to be Skull King Football. We are now Skull King Sports. We are moving on from just doing football coverage. We are now working on hiring to cover NBA, NHL, MLS, MLB. We want to cover it all. We even want to cover, NASCAR, Formula One,
really,
WNBA. We want to cover it all. So we're actually working on a massive hiring spree, bringing on writers who want to build up their resume, build up their portfolio, to hopefully stay on with us and help build the Skull King Sports brand. But in some cases, I know that maybe they use us as a springboard to go to someone like an ESPN or something like that. So we're working on building up as much as possible. One of our new writers, our new fantasy writers, I mentioned earlier, Robert Gonzalez, solid mind for fantasy football. He's one of our running back analysts, and so definitely want to give him a shout out. So that's kind of where we're at right now with Skull King. Looking forward to a big year this year.
Well, just let your people know that there's an opportunity to provide their expertise on this platform as well. How's that sound?
That sounds great. I'll make sure to let them know.
Yeah, please do, because you know what? Now that you're branching off, it's great that you've done well on the football side, but it's good to be able to show more versatility in the network. And if you've got somebody, and let them know that we'll put them on the Sports Exchange as well as an occasional contributor, as long as they continue to write good material for you. How does that sound?
That sounds awesome.
No problem. So meanwhile, just so you know, you're listening to South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network. You can find our broadcast on www.southfloridatribune.com. And on social media, you can find my personal page, is Scoop with 5 3s. On Twitter, you also have at Tribune South. Instagram, we can find us there as well at South Florida Tribune, and on Facebook, like us there. Some of the shows that we have on the broadcast, to name a few, are the Sports Exchange, South Florida Tribune Podcast, The Real and the Rare Fantasy Football with Ryan Schoolroot, and myself at 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. So Those are the ones that we're focusing on, trying to build a real big platform. And I can assure you, Ryan, we can always find a place to put your people on there. So, meanwhile, we'll do it again on Thursday. Ryan, once again, thank you for being on the broadcast. And we'll definitely build our relationship stronger than it already is. All right, Ryan?
All right, sounds great.
And one thing I should point out to you also before we get off the air is we hope that everybody is safe, stay home, and kudos to all those first responders out there. And it's not worth taking any chances to do things unnecessarily. And we hope that we provided you with good entertainment tonight so that we can take you away from all your anxieties that may be out there. Right, Ryan?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, meanwhile, on behalf of Ryan Skolroot, Candy Ebling, and myself, Scott Morgan, Roth Motor City Madmouth, we want to wish everybody a good evening and have a great night. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.